Hi guys, this is the Straight Bat with Gulf News, our weekly analysis of the Cricket World Cup. I'm Shyam Krishna, and with me is Satish, our sports editor. We have two special guests today. We have Paddy Upton logging in from Cape Town. He's been with the South Africa national team as well as the Indian national team in various capacities. He's also been associated with the Indian Premier League, Pakistan Super League, and the Big Bash League in Australia. Welcome to the show, Paddy.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation to join you and to share with your guests today.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And we also have our regular guest, Chirag Suri, the UAE cricket opener. Welcome to the show, Chirag.
Thanks, Sham. Thank you so much.
And we really miss Ashfaq here. He's away, so we had to make do with us.
After Pakistan's tough loss, he left us.
No, I would have wanted him to give inputs on what's going on in the Pakistan camp, but I think we'll have to go do without that. Now, 23 matches have gone through the tournament so far, and 24th match is being in progress. But one of the main features of the 23 matches has been South Africa's dominant batting. They have scored one 400 plus and at least three 300 plus totals. Paddy, you've been with South Africa. Tell us what is the secret behind what makes their batting tick?
It's a good question, and they haven't necessarily come in as very much favourites. They don't have really seasoned campaigners there, so it's a team that's probably building at the moment in terms of its experience. They've been lucky. Some of the wickets they've played on in India have been fairly flat wickets. The ball hasn't deviated much off the seam or for the spin bowlers, so that does set up for fairly large targets. And sometimes when you set a large target batting first, the opposition goes out, they're over-attacking and they end up making mistakes and fall well short. But they can take a lot of confidence at the moment from the way their batters are faring, certainly in posting targets. Obviously, during the Netherlands, they were found wanting. It was only one game, but found wanting when it came to chasing.
Yeah, that is the only one they chased. Chirag, coming to you, what are the impressions of the matches so far? It's been mainly a question of bat dominating. We've seen most of the matches where batsmen winning the matches rather than bowlers. What do you make of it?
Look, I think it's what you expect in India, especially, the wickets have been so good to bat on, and especially early part of the tournament, we knew the ball will come on. They've prepared some good wickets out there. So I think, like we discussed earlier on as well, the teams whose top order has done well, we've seen them, put high totals up. And then, of course, with runs on the board, it gets tough for the opposition. And I think that's the key. And especially that top 3, top 4 batsmen, the teams that have done well, we've seen the openers give them good starts. Number 3 get a lot of runs. So, it all comes down to, it's been a batsman World Cup so far, I would say. And the fast bowlers have gone the distance, But I think the spinners will come into play as the wickets get a bit older and tighter. But we will have to see. We'll have to see. I think there's enough wickets out there in India, and they're so well prepared. With the structure and everything they have. So, we love a little run fest. As an opener myself, I think I just love to see. And as a viewer, I think we love these high scoring games. Yes, they've been a bit one sided lately, but I'm sure we'll get competitive games in the coming ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but that has robbed us of some thrilling finishes, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't have everything, Shyam.
Satish, coming to you. I have an India question for you. India has been the only unbeaten team in the fray so far. So, is there a banana peel match somewhere down the line? Something like what South Africa came up against the Netherlands?
I don't think so, Shyam, because what has happened is the Indian team is not reliant on one particular individual. There have been several different scenarios, several different individuals that could put their hands up and played. Of course, the central figure has been Kohli. And because Kohli has been performing, Rohit Sharma gets that little leeway to play much more freely at the start. So I don't think, in fact, to be honest, the lower order has not been tested at all. Like you look at maybe last game, Jadeja getting some runs under his belt must have come in quite handy as the tournament progresses on. So I think since the Asia Cup, the Indian team has gone through several ups and downs, and there have been several testing moments, especially take the first match case in point where India were 3 down for 2 runs, and from there you go on to score comfortable win against Australia on a difficult wicket. These sort of small things that make it into when it comes to collectively, that gives you that confidence going forward. I don't see anything that is India is going to slip up anywhere down the line, like what happened to South Africa, because they have been in various situations. And of course, India probably need only about 2 more wins from the next 4 games. So I'm sure it should not be an issue. But yes, semi-final is again anybody's game. It's a knockout game. Anything can happen on that. But until that time, I don't think India having any trouble at all, because even the bowling is doing well as well. It's complementing the batting pretty well, and it's a well-rounded team, I would say.
And in the last match, we saw South Africa blowing away in England. What is actually happening to England? 3 bad losses, and they are not. They essentially they are pretty much the same players, really, but they have lost 3 matches and are struggling to qualify for the semi-final. What went wrong there?
You know, Sham, I take a step back from this and I look at sort of how do these tournaments, particularly these long format tournaments where there's a lot of round robin games, which, for example, happens in an IPL where each of the 8 teams play up to 14 games. The general trend, more than 80% of the time, in fact, is teams that go on to win are teams that sort of have an average first half or even an average first 2/3 of the tournament. And then just toward that average time, it takes the pressure off them. They learn lessons. There's a humbling that comes into place. They start earning the tag a little bit of underdogs. And when those teams win their last 2 games, just make it into the semi-finals, they start finding form late. They come in as the underdogs. They've learned a lot of lessons. They've made mistakes, and they're still mentally fresh. Compared to, for example, if India go on to win 8 or 9 out of games, they haven't yet been tested. They don't know what it's like to play under. Well, they were tested for a short while against Australia, but only one man ready. Kohli is the person who took it away from them with some support. They go in as the favorites, and going into a tournament like this, into a semi-final or final as the favorites in India, it puts a lot of pressure. And I would almost sort of flag that as an orange flag for the Indian team. If they go on and win 8 out of 9, the odds are stacked in their favor and against them from one perspective. So the fact that England have done badly, if they manage to win 3 or 4 games and just qualify, it makes England a very dangerous team. If they don't qualify, I think they'll be kicking themselves and need to really go and have a debrief and ask, where did we get it so wrong as the previous champions? They know how to win. They're the World Test champions. So it's been quite a dismal showing. But obviously last weekend as a South African, we played England. South Africa played England in the World Cup cricket and in the World Cup rugby on the same day. And it was nice to go to bed 2-0 up from the day as a South African.
Carrying on from what Paddy said, Paddy pointed out about Virat Kohli's influence on the Indian team. We've seen the last few matches how he bossed the chase for India. So will a scenario where a Kohli flop show will affect the Indian chase or the Indian score? I have one more question following up that. And we also saw Shami come in and pick up a 5 wickets haul there. Now, if and when Hardik Pandya returns, will they drop Shami?
Look, whether or not a Kohli not performing will, affect India, I still don't know whether, we're completely relying on a Kohli. Yes, we've been solid. KL Rahul has stepped up. He's been doing really well for the Indian team. The openers are looking good stead. Of course, we're still waiting for a big score from Shubman, but it'll come. He's in good form. He came back from dengue and things like that. So he's getting back into it. And it's good that he's on the park. I think it's very good for Team India because he's a match winner. Shreyas gets good starts, gets in, but he's getting out, and he's getting out on his own doing. Like he took on that pull last game. Then, he got that really nice 30. He looked like good for 100. And then he gets out by 30, 40. But I want him to get a big score because when Ishan and Hardik get fit, depending on the combination, whether, you keep Shreyas in the mix or you maybe go to Surya. I don't know what's with Surya Kumar in ODIs. Let me tell you that. Last game he got a bit unlucky. That run out whole, Kohli's just ball watching. It was his fault. But in these kind of situations, when it's sometimes you just have that jinx. I just feel, whenever he plays ODIs, it just doesn't go for him. There's these small things that, just go against him. But he's due some runs, and I would love to see maybe in these 3-4 games, because we've qualified already, they might give him, give him a chance in number 4 or 5, just to, give him some batting time in the middle before the big games. We'll have to wait and see, but you can't do too many changes as well. It's a World Cup at the end of the day. I think that's pretty much it. Virat is looking great. I think that's so good for the Indian team. He's so responsible in the middle, and the way he's just taking the team, it's it's world class. It's what the best in the world do. So you can't really say much to that. Yeah.
Sadiq, since Chirag dug the question on Shami, let me put that to you. Do you think Shami will continue to figure in the team when Hardik Pandya comes back into the team?
I think India should do that, Sham, because see, at the end of it, you have to trust Hardik Pandya's batting capabilities. I think that's where there is a lack of trust there. And of course, Hardik played almost a match-winning knock in a rain, not a match-winning knock, important knock in the first match of the Asia Cup, where India were 40-4 against Pakistan. So you got to trust Hardik Pandya's capabilities and play Hardik Pandya and Shami instead of bringing in Shardul Thakur, who is going to give you 50-60 runs without taking a wicket, and then that's going to put pressure on the batting. But at the end of it, again, Indian team also must be managing Shami's workload as well. So it depends on the workload. It again depends. Maybe next game is England. Shami should play, and supposing India is playing against Sri Lanka or Netherlands, they can probably take it a bit easy with Bumrah or Shami playing one match or the other between them in these games, so that the workload is well managed.
That's about India. Yes, India has got a few more matches to go in the league. But across the board, Pakistan's fortunes has not been good. They have lost 3 matches in a row. Paddy, you've been with the Pakistan Super League, so you have some idea about the players there. So give us some insight into what is triggering this poor run for Pakistan.
It's always difficult. I know, having played for so many years against Pakistan and plotted against them, I've been involved in 5 Cricket World Cups now between T20 and the 50 over, either for South Africa, or actually I've spent more times working with the Indian team in lead up to the World Cup. So the conversation is always pretty much the same around Pakistan, that on their day, they have the skill, they have the flair, they can blow any team away on their day. But things need to go in their favor. On any other day, you can blow them away with ease. So they seem to be this confidence team where things are working well, they do great. If things aren't working well, they do really badly, which suggests, and I'm not saying it's the case because I'm an outsider when it comes to the national team, that they don't have clear structure, they don't have clear plans, they don't have clear roles, and they don't practice repetitively with those clear plans and those clear roles. Because teams that go in with plans, with roles, with strategy, knowing what to do, even if you have a bad game, you can still be very competitive and even win. But Pakistan seems to, over the years, blow very, very hot and cold. And they seem to be doing it again. And certainly a long tournament like this, you can't rely on a couple of lucky flair confidence games to be able to go the distance. So I really think the structures and their organization, their disciplines, is something that's been lacking in that team for a long time. And if they were to bring that to the kind of flair they've got, I think they would be a lot more dangerous for their talent than what they're currently posing opposition.
Chirag, one of the crippling losses for Pakistan has been against Afghanistan. Afghanistan has won two of the matches. And tell us something about their growth, because we've seen Afghanistan grow in stature because UAE has been their home ground for quite some time. So tell us about their rise in world cricket, and specifically this World Cup.
Look, I think we know without a doubt they have the players. They have the talent pool over there as well, and I think it's a lot to do with confidence as well for these teams when they start well and when they're like sort of big players step up. I think it's been bit disappointing to see. I think, I was expecting a lot from like a Babar Azam in this World Cup. That team really relies on, their skipper to, stand up and, shell that confidence to the whole team. I think that's what's been lacking. But on the contrary, you've seen Mujib do really well over here. Rashid Khan do well. Their big players have really stepped it up in these big games, and they've led from the front. And I think that's what we've seen. Even the batting, the bowling has always been good, especially in these conditions. I feel the spinners will control the game, and that's what they've done. Pakistan haven't had that spin attack. I think Afghanistan has a very good spin attack in this World Cup. Pakistan rely more on their fast bowling, but on these flat decks, I think Shaheen up front hasn't done the job for them. They're missing Naseem Shah. Harish Rauf hasn't been as lethal as he is because of the wickets. But Afghanistan has, on the other side, had that spin attack, who just, they open with a spinner, they control middle overs with spin, and the wickets have just suited their bowling attack more. And it was only about whether the batsmen would be able to give them a fighting total. And wherever they gave them a fighting total, you see that the bowlers have always been good. They've defended. But if you give their bowlers only 220, 230, then it's difficult. But if you give their bowlers, 270, 280 to defend, they do it. And, even when they restricted teams to 270, 280, they had a very successful chase. So I think it's really good to see the rise of Afghanistan cricket. I've played a lot of cricket against that team. They've always had good, talented players. And it's all about, giving them more confidence, giving them that exposure and believing in each other. I think in World Cups, I think you got to back your guys and keep instilling belief and really, make it a good atmosphere. I think they're in a good stead. I think Jonathan Trott as a coach, I feel that, they've really benefited from having such an experienced campaigner over there. They might not all be understanding what he says, but I'm sure they're translating, and that sort of calmness and, like Paddy said, they're focusing on their plans. They have clear plans. They know what they're doing. They're very clear with what role and, who's doing what and what we need. So I think that makes it clear for a player, and that's why that team's doing well.
Yes, we can. You said about the plans. We can. That I'm sure it is coming from Jonathan Trott. He's been really, really the man behind the scenes for Afghanistan. Now, Paddy, coming back to New Zealand. New Zealand has been flying under the radar, but it's been winning matches. Except for their loss to India, they've done pretty well. Just talk us through that.
New Zealand, they're always a team that punches well above their weight. There are only 4 million people in New Zealand. There can't be more than a few 100,000 cricketers. So there's less, people in the whole of New Zealand than play cricket in Mumbai almost. So they really do punch above their weight. They don't have a big talent pool. So they know they have to get the absolute best out of what they've got within their playing squad of 15 or 18. It's been like that for a long time. They know they have to get every single. The 1%ers are so important for them. And it's something that they managed to do really, really well. They managed to have a very professional approach. And they go into games very often because of this being the small nation and being the little brother of Australia, very often sort of in the context of world cricket or the way people look at them. They're always going in with the underdog tag, and they're going in very often with that underdog, where they're so used to the underdog mindset. And I can't emphasize how advantageous to a degree that having the underdog tag and mindset is in a big tournament like a World Cup, particularly one in India, where there's so much noise, so many eyes, so much visibility, so much pressure on every game, that there really is advantage. So Afghanistan, as Chirag said earlier, they're doing a whole lot of things right, but they also go in grateful to be there and as the underdogs, and just, I'm sure the message is, let's go and fully express ourselves, go and play without the expectation or pressure of needing to win, which creates pressure, or being fearful of losing, which creates fear. And New Zealand, similarly, they've got more pressure to win now because they've made a few finals and they've been threatening to be champions. By the same token, the pressure of winning and fear of losing would be higher for Australia's and for England's and for India's who've done it before. So there is advantage. And I think New Zealand take advantage of that underdog tags in cricket to go express themselves not desperate to win and not fearful of losing. And that is such a critical mindset to go into a game. I want to win, but I'm not desperate to win. And I don't want to lose, but I'm not terrified of losing. That frees someone up to be in the moment and play their best game as it unfolds in front of them, ball by ball, over by over, which New Zealand do really well.
Thanks, Paddy. And Satish, coming to you, one team which never has an underdog tag is Australia, 5-time winners. Australia, they say winning is a habit, but this Australian team started off badly. But the last match, I think they have come back to the form they want to. And how do you see Australia's fortunes in this rest of the World Cup?
Shyam, the sad part with Australia is they are banking on only those 3 or 4 batsmen. Warner, Smith, I think Labuschagne has come good in a couple of games. But the problem is Mitchell Marsh, one match he scores. Maxwell has not come good at all. So there is the batting or bowling, they are relying too much on a couple of individuals. When they come good, they're able to translate that into a performance, or rather a winning performance, I would say. But if it doesn't come good, then they are in trouble. So that's what is happening to this Australian team. I think they are relying more on the fast bowlers. I think 3 fast bowlers with just one spinner, Zampa and Maxwell doing that job. I think they need to get. They probably missed that trick of adding an extra bowler, a left-arm spinner or somebody in the team. Maybe that would have helped them. But yes, Australia, they have the experience. They are whatever they are doing right now. They are going back to the drawing board. They are looking at their experience and trying to win matches based on their strategies than their skills. That's what I would say. And again, Australia, you cannot write them off because they can come back. They are in the striking distance right now. They've got 4 points. So it's not a complete trouble like England where they have lost 3, whereas Australia has just lost 2. But yes, Australia. Look, I think I said it earlier also. The team looks a bit hollow because it's revolving around only a handful of individuals completely. And if they come good for batting, Warner or Smith has to be there till the end. With bowling, Zampa has to get some wickets, and Hazelwood with his experience is doing well as a containing bowler. Is not giving runs, but he is not able to get the wickets because he's containing the runs. So this is very tricky. Mitchell Stark is not the same as we have seen him, so that is another problem for them. He is not able to get the ball move, nor is he able to get those Yorkers in. So these are all some of the issues that's going on. But again, as they get more wins under their belt, their confidence will grow, and once they get the confidence, they are difficult team anytime.
Yes, you're bang on, because South Australia, you can never write off. I remember the T20 World Cup in the UAE a couple of years, year before last, I think. And they came out of nowhere to win the tournament. So you could never, ever write off an Australian side.
Correct.
So that's it from our straight bat. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We'll be back with our next analysis next week. Thank you for you guys for watching. For breaking news and more updates, please log on to gulfnews.com and all our social media channels. See you next week. Bye-bye.